like to introduce Toastmaster John Humpert. John found himself in a rut, and tonight he would like to explain how to get out of a rut when you get into it. Here's John with his speech, In a Rut. Mr. Humpert.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, you ever been in a rut? Brings me back to a time about 5 years ago, a winter day, right after church. Everybody in my extended family was piled into the minivan. My in-laws, my daughter, my wife, and I don't know what possessed me, but I thought cutting across the shopping center parking lot was a good idea. It had snowed about 6 inches, and it was that very slippery kind of snow. I got about halfway through the empty parking lot, hit a rift, and I wasn't going anywhere else. I think these are the moments that my wife lives for. In no time at all, I realized I was in a rut. I had to do something about it. I certainly wasn't in my comfort zone. And I found myself having to get out of the vehicle and look helpless and stupid out in the parking lot. Fortunately, after I had given 1 or 2 heave-hoes at the back of the car and was getting nowhere at all, someone took some pity on me, stopped. It happened to be the Chief of Police of Campbell County. I happen to know him, and he's quite a nice person. No time at all, I was out of the rut. I noticed, as I think about that story, that one of the first steps when you're in a rut, you want to get out of the rut, is you have to acknowledge that you're in the rut. Yes, my wife was helping me acknowledge. My in-laws were doing their part too. My daughter's pretty patient. I don't know where she gets that from. But in a very short order, I had no choice but to acknowledge my plight. I have a bold statement to share with you. If you don't let Toastmasters overwhelm you from time to time, if you don't let Toastmasters overwhelm you from time to time, you're going to stay stuck in the same old rut. If we don't let certain life experiences overwhelm us, it's like a butterfly in a cocoon that's got to struggle in order to break the cocoon open. We're going to stay stuck inside the cocoon, inside the rut. I sometimes, when I think about the word passive, what's one of the most passive things that you can do in this society? It would keep you in the rut for a long time. If you ask me, it's watch TV. Because you're not accountable to anyone as you watch TV. Some of us, we got to be careful. Let's not mistake our Toastmasters opportunity for TV. Let's not use it as a occasion to be passive. And I say that because if you're not coming in and figuring out how you're going to wave down the Chief of Police, then are you getting out of the rut? What What kind of ruts can we be in? What am I speaking about? We live in a society that's very passive. I can say that because for 3 years I lived in a different society. I lived in Germany for 3 years, and it was a different atmosphere. We can be so passive that we forget to bring a pen or pencil to our Toastmasters meeting. And this is an educational item. This is to get us out of the rut. Do we bring a pen? Something to write on? Do we remember that it's important to greet our guests? Do we remember that we only become credible as leaders when we show that we have learned something to be good followers and thoughtful followers? Not mindless followers, but followers who have been thinking about things. Sometimes we get so passive, and I know situations come up. I'm not picking on people about situations that come up and discombobulate all of life. But some of us are maybe not even in the room. I'm thinking about Toastmasters that I've met all along in many situations. Without a good reason, some people forget what meeting night is. That's passive. Some of us, sometimes we find we try to wish away that our mentors just don't talk to us. We don't have those challenging conversations. Or we think, well, the Toastmaster promise, that's for somebody else. It's nice, but it's really for somebody else. When we're in a rut, we're not going anywhere. We're not practicing what we could be. How can we get out of the rut? I challenge you, next time we meet, it's contest time. Seize a role. And if you feel that tug where you might be a contestant if you're eligible. There's a sign-up sheet tonight with a note on there whether you're eligible or not. If you want to be in the evaluation contest, you are eligible. Also fill in the roles for March and April. Do that for Earl. In my book, every Toastmaster in the room, after you've been to a few meetings, you're kind of like a club officer. And if you're a club officer, you're kind of like the club president. We have that much leadership opportunity. And if you want to pick a time to discuss that a little bit further in depth, I'd be happy to do that. But I'd like to see every member seize that opportunity to act like an officer. Every officer sees that opportunity to figure out what can you do as club president. Also, another challenge is to ask a member, an experienced member, what back to the basics mean this year. It's a very key phrase in our district this year, back to the basics. Don't wait for these things to happen to you. Make sure that you're out of the rut, moving forward, because I want you to succeed in ways that you've never dreamed before, and I want to see us all, as much as we can, be out of the rut. Mr. Toastmaster.